Welcome. I'm glad you could join me. While doing research for this video, I came across an 1894 account of visitors coming to this little part of the world. And I think you should stick around and listen to that. It's a little bit long, but it's very interesting. Anyhow, enjoy and on with the show. Bye. Hey, welcome to this episode. Today we are on island in Quatsino Sound, where there was a hotel and store from about 1895 until 1917, when everything was floated out of here. Um, so yeah, there was a little community back in the bay up behind me, up over here. There were houses up on the beach there. We swing around this point right here. That's on this point. That's where the hotel and the store was. This was a steamship stop, also until 1914, when a dock was built around the point here, and from that point on, it kind of dropped in importance in this part of the coast. Anyhow, we are here for the day. Our tides aren't the best, so we won't get a lot of beach detecting, but we should get. We'll get up and see what we can find up in around the hotel site and out here on the rocks and stuff. Anyhow, thanks for joining us, and let's see what we can find from the early 1900s, late 1800s in this old store site. So I think this is where the store was, up here, and the hotel was over there. Just walking along here, I haven't found anything besides a couple nails, but I was just detecting the beach and see if you can see it. There's something pretty cool down there. I like these. Can you see it? Down here on the beach, right here. Nice little bottle stopper with a little flat end on it like that. Never seen that one. So what I like to do when I start at places like this is kind of just shoot crisscross around and start looking for stuff. I know right now, I think right along, you can see me here, right along here is where the deck of the hotel was. And I've been finding lots of bullet casings. So people, back in the day would have been probably shooting out stuff on that little island right there. Target practice is kind of like the main diversion. Anyhow, I just found between all the bullet casings I found, pretty much all there's been kind of just older, not super old, but they're center fire. But just way down deep in that hole, it's got one of the original doorknobs. Look at that. Doorknob off the old hotel. Imagine the hands that use this way back in the day. So right now I'm up on top of the rock that you can see in the pictures, right beside the store, and Jordy's down there, right around where the store would have been. Part of the store would have come out here and then headed down to the hotel over there. Thought maybe people would have been waiting up here back in the day for a steamship to come in, or maybe some, with their packages or mail, but then I thought again that anyone that was out here would have been so lonely that going into town and hanging out with people would have been their number one thing they wanted to do, not hang out up here on a little bluff. So right down here seems where the dock went out. Right off that point I found a pin, an old tie-up ring where they would have they planted where they would have sent out one of the ropes out to the dock, which would have been right out here. Here's something kind of cool. Front of an old stove here, the Herald number 28. I will be leaving this here for future visitors. It's a pretty neat piece. But yeah, the Herald number 28 stove. Very cool. So a lot of this site is not really that detectable. So like all along the front here, it's just so deep. But back here a bit, underneath this there's not as much growth, and it's definitely detectable. Finding things here and there. Just found another relic, and just come out of this hole here. Rang up a 1415, and we have an eating utensil, a fork, and usually a fork you can find some sort of information on them, but you can see those really long prongs. That's telltale early. Buchanan and Cole. Never ever heard of that maker. That's cool. There's no fancy or anything on it, but I'm happy to find a fork from the hotel or the store. Very cool. So one thing we can probably put on the list of things that were sold at this store and they had in the hotel were clocks. Here's a whole inside of a clock. So it springs, and another piece here, another clock. This is the top of, would be a carriage clock. So this would have sat on top, and the clock part would have sat underneath that. That's pretty fancy. So you saw the fork, you saw the knob, and I don't think you saw this. So it's turning out to be pretty nice out here, but weather is super dynamic. Thought I'd just walk you over quickly to check this out. There is a boat over here on the beach. Here is an old abandoned boat. Looks like she was maybe like a little tug. She's got pushing teeth down the front. Something involved in the logging industry. She's seen better days, but with the price of boats these days, somebody might pick her up for a couple bucks. Fixer upper. Yeah. No clues as to who she was. Name or anything on the back? Nope. There's the back deck and the lazarette. Looking pretty empty. There's a belt down there. Wiring up in the front. And a tree growing. And some ferns and moss. Back to nature. We all go back to nature. So, just found this. I have no idea what this is. If you know what it is, let me know. It's glass in there, some sort of eyepiece. But it's maybe for looking at something super bright, like maybe a stove part or something. I have no idea. Some sort of sight piece. Cool. So I'm going to tell you the story about the guy that settled here, Ned Fregon. As far as I've been able to find, Ned grew up in Quebec, and he heard about the California gold rush. So he hopped on a ship, went down to the Panama Isthmus, walked across, and caught a ship up to San Francisco, where he stuck around for a while. It started to rain here. He stuck around there for a while, and whoa, wind's coming in. I'm gonna move you around like this. Anyhow, hat on. So I don't know if you can hear the wind or not. There's white caps out there out in the bay there. So anyhow, get back to the story. Sorry. So Ned, he comes up to California. I guess he does okay, and dirt on my nose. Yeah, a little bit. He does okay, and then he comes up to the Caribou Gold Rush in central BC. He's out there with his family, and there's records of that. And he moves down to Victoria, and when he's in Victoria, he gets a whole bunch of gets some money together, and he goes and he opens up a trading post on Bull Island, which is up near the north end of Vancouver Island, between Vancouver Island and the mainland. I think it's the first island when you're coming south. You'd hit Bull Island. Guess things kind of got a little hostile up there, and he decided to move, and he moved into this bay, which is on what then was called Quiet Cove, and on Limestone Island in Quatsino Sound. Now it is Drake Island and Pamphlet Cove. Anyhow, he came in here in 1895. He set up a store, and he set up a post office in here. He sets that all up, and then eventually he sets up a hotel, and he's doing pretty well. And he rides it from I guess it's in 1907 that he builds the hotel here. But yeah, he rides it pretty well. And I guess in 1917, the Prohibition was coming. And there was a town down the way here just getting all put together, a big mill. The steamship would have called here until 1914, where the steamship stopped coming over here. So he decided to sell his buildings to people in the town of Port Alice, where we're staying. Diamond Geordie's up in the woods there still. I came down here just to check on the boat. and have a drink of water. Anyhow, nice chat. Well, I've been circling around looking for this guy. He found something right here. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Let me see. Open her up. Oh, it's a little Vicky fishy. Trying to get the date on it. I think it's 1893. Yes.
That might have come right out of old Frigon's pocket.
Yeah. Oh. Yes. Thank you, bud. I'm happy we found some silver here. You found some silver. Yes. Awesome. There's the 3-ringer there. Very cool. All right. Good job, bud. Well, to tell you the truth, I'm a bit burnt out. And here we are. Well, here I am. Diamond Jordy's still up there. Up in there somewhere. I'm done, I think. Wait for the tide to come up. Just gonna load the stuff in here right now, then it's nice and easy to do. Let's walk and drop. Wait for the tide to come up, and we will be on our way. My best finds today. Those, I don't know what they are, but they fold open, which I was surprised to see. There's 2 lenses in there, a really dark green color, maybe. I don't know. And my doorknob and my fork, a little fork fragment. This is, take this down. That's my junk pile. Bullet shells, clock parts, little knickknacks, little bits of lead, bullet pieces, wire, nails. Not a ton of stuff, but here's my junk. I'm Jordy's. Chunks of iron, bullet shells, a modern penny, other little bits and pieces. So a collection of porcelain, and then bottle pieces. We floated our raft once more, and, boarding her, dispensed with our newfound but not over-obliging friends. We learned from them the certainty of a store and the position of a harbor, that Ned was at home. We ran up our sail, Skinner's beautiful white blanket, and in an hour's run brought us within sight of the settlement, a fair-sized harbor with a large and smaller island in it. On the larger, plumper, stands the store and house and workshop of Ned Fregon, together with some Indian dwelling places. The smaller, the former citadel, as at Cape Cormel, but now all covered with shrub, a flagpost rising high in the center. Today a potato patch is to be seen on the banks of the fortress that before the days of guns and powder was probably impregnable, and could tell still of deeds done on it, both great and stirring. The rancherie proper is on the main island almost directly facing the entrance of the harbor and behind the citadel. Our arrival brought the inhabitants down to greet us. 2 white men amongst them, both French Canadians, Ned Frigon being the owner of the store, fur trader, general dealer, packer of salmon bellies, and a cooper to boot. For some time before we touched land, we had been the object of great interest to the residents, opinions being divided as to whether we were a log or a sealing schooner loaded down, and when human beings were seen aboard of the floating log, whatever could bring thither 3 men in such a rig. We were received most cordially, and all hospitality offered to us. The Indians, with their usual curiosity, scanned our ark and our possessions, and their gibbering was continued for hours. Though taken unawares, and after his midday meal, Frigon was equal to the occasion, and soon had his table loaded with food for our refreshment. We would not listen to his apologies for the plain fare, and must have astonished our good host by the width and length of our appetite. Never did bread taste more delightful, nor potatoes nor beans more sumptuous. A pipe discussed, we set out to look around the isle, and found that the Indians, after their fashion, had left the reserve across the way, and had made their home near the white man and his store. He had fought against it as long as he could, but first one, then another came and begged the right to build, till all were soon settled down about him. There were not more than 30 Indians at Quatsino, the Quatsino Reserve being the large one, probably containing all told some 150. We made the acquaintance of 3 women, gorgeously painted, but one dying of consumption, with Frigon acting as medical adviser, a few children, and 4 old men, the latter utterly regardless of decency in the matter of clothing, but all seemingly utterly oblivious to the fact. The rest were off, as everywhere else, to fish at River's Inlet. Frigon's store are replete with delicacies to the Indian mind, and to the travelers such as we. It did not take us long to take in our supplies, bacon, flour, beans, and rice, all that we could carry, and just sufficient to carry us through to Wass Lake. Allowing for a day or so's delay, we would have taken more had we been able to pack it. As it was, we loaded ourselves down to the fullest extent, and trusted to the map and chart being correct as to the location and distance whither we aimed at. Then began the delicate handling for the hire of the canoe to take us up the sound, and so to the head of the southeast arm. It is always a question of who, the white man or the Siwash, is the best at beating down, and neither side ever commences at the price he is prepared to pay. But Frigon came to our side, and sent them to their shacks for a long powwow as to what they would do for the strange white men. We had our ark hauled up nearby, and gave them to understand that if they did not come to terms, they would lose a job, and we would sail away on our good Maggie once more, though none of us at all relished the 28 miles more of rafting work. From the following issue of the Province, Bolton wrote, "A day full of interest drawing to a close, the question arose where we were to sleep. We had the choice of a store built over the water, with cracks ominous of cold and draught, our tent reared hard by the Indian shacks, redolent of smell, and the use of Frigon's one-roomed abode. Nothing would do but that. I must sleep in what looks like a huge box nailed on the wall, some 3 feet from the ground, with a hole to get in at. A tempting feather bed overcame all objections that rose to mind, if not to the lips, and with Frigon in another box on the opposite wall, his associate on a pile of biscuit cases, and my 2 good men on the floor, lights were soon out, and we were in the land of dreams."